who am I as a leader? You know, I across my career, I've had many opportunities to think about and to really define myself and who I wanted to be as a leader. As I see myself as a person who's fair, I try to be transparent. I try to be really consistent. And I think one of the hallmarks of my leadership is courage and being the person who is not afraid to challenge, to call out the elephant in the room and those kinds of things. So that's oftentimes the position that I find myself in. And it doesn't always make other people feel comfortable, but it's the authentic person that I try to be and that I think I am. And I'm a strong advocate for what I believe is right. And that's above and beyond whether I think a person, whether I like a person or it's not about that. It's about being right, being consistent, being fair, being transparent, and being open. So in my life is to do what you say you're going to do. And it bothers me deeply, or I can't stand it, is how I would say it. I can't stand it when people are not true to the word. And it's okay if things change, but to not be true to your word and to ignore or excuse those kinds of things really bother me deeply because I try to be a woman of my word. Oh my gosh. Well, during this pandemic, it seems that many people have behaved out of character, and I'm sure that of late there have been some situations where I felt like I was not in character. And in fact, a few weeks ago, I remember saying to some people, you may have been one of them, that I am, I know I have an attitude today, and don't worry, I'll just put myself in timeout. But I think at the beginning of the pandemic, everyone was operating sort of like almost like on adrenaline. It was an exciting thing to do. It was an exciting time, although there were people were dying. This thing was unsettling. So at that point in my leadership, I felt very empowered and very much comfortable with my role as a crisis manager. And that's what it felt like at the time. I even had commented probably even at least 2 months out that I was amazed of how cool and calm, I felt I had been throughout all of this. And that's because as a leader, you got to have a steady hand. Everybody can't fall apart. As the pandemic has gone on, I have just noticed, changes in many people, whether that's our faculty, our staff, our students, or family, friends. People are more stressed out and not making sometimes the best decisions. But still, as a leader, I felt like I've had to be the one to try to hold it together. And sometimes that meant very, very late nights, inability to turn it off, working what seemed to be almost 24 hours. And there have been times it was 24 hours, even more than that, because there were some nights that I didn't sleep at all. So I think the pandemic has really, in some ways, maybe shown all of us who we really are, and especially who we are when there's a sustained crisis. And as a leader, I think I've done pretty well, because I've had to for the most part, hold it together, because I have a lot of people around me that are counting on me, depending on me, need me for direction and guidance. And the business of the university, the business of our school has to continue. Otherwise, we're all in jeopardy. So that's been, part of my mission. And you said, how have I changed? I think, like anyone, as it goes along, and it's now we're into 6 months, 7 months, you start to be a little less patient with people, and you wanted to say, okay, come on, guys, come on, you can figure this out. Come on, this. So that's a little bit of what I'm seeing now, but in the interest of self-care, a friend said yesterday, now is the time for extreme self-care. And extreme, to even if it appears selfish. And so I think that's a lesson that I need, because I don't always take care of myself. I'm a nurse. I take care of others. So I was really impressed with how quickly we were able to transition to online environment, particularly at the undergraduate program, the program that you run. So maybe it was you, but we were able to do that for the summer. Well, back in March and April, but also over the summer in a relatively smooth way. And and I know that part of that is because we had a history of working in an online environment with some of our other programs, but it was really kind of impressive to see faculty take the challenge of doing virtual classes online with 100 people, which I know was not was hard. So so I think that sort of surprised me a little bit. Right at this point, which is, what is today, September 15th, I'm still a little bit surprised that we don't have more positive cases at VCU like other universities have. And so to me, that's very interesting. And I'm wondering how or why our students appear to be different from others. Oh my goodness. So I've seen, it's really been interesting, and I won't name any names or particular institutions or organizations, so none of this can be traced back to me. But I have seen everything from people, leaders, denying that this pandemic is real, thinking that it was just a hoax. And I'm talking about leadership at organizational levels and at various venues that are close to us. So I'm not talking about what's going on in Washington, D.C., but I have seen that same mentality amongst some of the leaders that I have been around, to think that this is just a hoax, and it's just people are making more of it than it should be, and those kinds of things. So I've seen that extreme, and then I've seen leaders who are really, I think, genuinely trying to do the right thing and put things in place. I've seen some that refuse to wear masks. And again, I'm not talking at DC. I'm talking, more local. I've seen people who I've seen where the communication was not that good, because oftentimes the people at the top are not necessarily the ones that put things into operations, and they're the ones that you're depending on sometimes to communicate what needs to happen, but they don't necessarily understand the work that needs to be done, the specifics of it. levels beneath them. And so communication is always interesting. So as a leader, I have developed other channels to verify and confirm information. Because sometimes you just, I feel like you need to do that. You need to have relationships with people that you do feel comfortable going, okay, so what is this about? What happened? What's the expectation, when you don't feel like it's being clearly communicated? Well, I would first tell myself to go back to like January, February, and buy more cleaning supplies and toilet paper and disinfectant. Uh, that's the first thing I would do. But I guess the other thing I would do is to tell myself to take a break, that it's gonna be okay, that it's gonna work out, and really to try to tell myself to help others to see that more clearly, that it's, this too shall pass. We don't know when, but in the meantime, we will do our best to put things in place. But I also realize there's the tension, and I would tell myself that there's going to be tension between the business of academics and the need to have students and to deliver classes and all of that, so that we can all have a job and get our pay. But there was going to be tension between that and those who don't want to participate, want to pay, want a degree, but don't want to do what needs to happen to make that a reality during the pandemic. So I think the main thing I would tell myself is just give yourself a break. Just, take it easy, and um, find more things that you can experiment and enjoy that don't involve work, because the pandemic was totally all consuming.